Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, wherever you are around the world, and welcome back to Sideboard Files. My name is Manuel, I'm your host as usual. This time we talk about modern mono-red prowess, and I have the pleasure to have here once again on the show, first time in the new studio, my good friend Alex Dukic.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, welcome back.
Nice to be here in a new studio. Feels awesome.
It looks great.
Totally different experience.
Yeah,
Love it.
totally different from the top table view and the stuff we were doing before, because we recorded a few videos together in 2017, 2018 as well.
It's been a while.
It's been a while, but you're finally back.
I'm the fellow Titan Shift player from a few years back who talked nonsense, a lot of nonsense.
No,
now
it's
I'm back.
It's not true. Absolutely not
okay.
true.
I'm just
All
kidding.
right, but this time we're not going to talk about Titanship. We're going to talk about mono-red prowess
yes.
and discuss sideboard choices, matchups, and of course, list. And I would actually like to start with a quick look at your list.
Let's do it.
So it's on screen right now, and we have around many different versions of mono-red prowess. The one with Warlord's Fury, the one with Blister Coil Weird, and the one with the Kill Fiend. And this is the one actually you play. So first of all, why did you choose this version?
So Kill Fiend, I really like this card. I tried it out because now we have a different setup of the deck. You're not concentrating on getting out the Phoenix anymore because Faithless Looting got banned.
Yeah, sure.
So you're more spell-centric this time with a lot of cantrips, crash through, a lot of more lava darts. So Kill Fiend can get quite out of hand really quickly. So if it connects with your opponent, it's usually lethal, especially with crash through, which is also a new addition to this list. You get to trample over all the creatures. So even though Kill Fiend is kind of fragile to the most of the removal being used, as I said, if it connects with your opponent, it's usually lethal and helps you be fast consistently.
Okay, so you prefer this version because it steals more like easy victories in 2 or 3 turns. In the end.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yes.
excellent. Any particular card that you would like to talk about in your version? Because I see some interesting stuff. I mean, there is a little castle there in the list. So yeah, let's talk about your personal choices concerning the main deck.
Oh yeah, the Causal Embereth. So it's just a personal thing I want to try out. It's not stock, an exclamation mark yet. So it's a thing, I know, if you don't have anything to do with your mana, you don't have any cards to play, and you have a few creatures on the board, you can chip in for 1 or 2 more damage each turn. That can actually make a significant difference in long term. But other than that, it's just there to be tried out. I would love to play more castles, maybe even one more at least. But I think that would be quite hard with lava darts and also with our Horizon lands. So I'll just keep it at 1 for now and see how it goes.
Okay. Was there any point during your testing in which you found out that the castle wasn't actually performing or was actually a problem, or?
Not yet.
Not yet.
No.
Okay, so far actually it's been helpful.
Yeah.
And you actually managed to not directly win some games with it because you activated in the same turn in which you actually went for the final swing, but it was helping out in getting these 2, maybe 1 or 2 extra damage, depending on how many creatures you had on the battlefield.
Exactly.
So overall, so far is, let's say, approved, and you want to keep on playing it because it seems like promising. Let's say.
Yeah, it has my seal of approval.
Okay, excellent. Another card that you have, excellent, well, like sort of interesting choice, Firebolt.
Firebolt. So Firebolt can be either Burst Lightning or Forkbolt, depending on your personal choice. But I think the Flashback clause is quite appealing, quite interesting, because this is a deck which likes to pitch its hand for some value, for some marginal value with the Battle Reveler. So I think Flashback can come quite handy in long term.
Okay, yeah.
And the deck
enough.
functions in mostly sorcery speed anyways. So I think it's fine to play it over the Burst Lightnings, but it's also fine to play the Burst Lightnings because instant speed can be good sometimes.
Sure. Is it like a sort of meta call, having Burst Lightning rather than a Firebolt or the other way around?
No, I wouldn't say so. I think it's more of a personal choice.
Okay. Because sometimes you get actually to play Burst Lightning with Kicker, and those 4 damage could actually really help.
Yeah, it happened a few times, but it's a rare case scenario. But I could see the point of playing Burst Lightnings over the Firebolts, because sometimes you can get to the point where you just Kicker for 4 damage and that seals the deal, or helps you seal the deal in a few turns, maybe.
Okay, crystal clear, as I like to say.
Crystal clear, yes.
Right, shall we talk about the sideboard then?
Yes, please.
Because you have a nice, interesting selection of cards here. And we are talking about 4 Dragon's Claw, 3 Abrade, 2 Kozilek's Return, 2 Seasoned Pyromancer, 2 Shrine of Burning Rage, and 2 Tormod's Crypt.
Yes.
So how did you come up with this particular configuration of cards? Why these cards?
So this sideboard is tuned mostly for the competitive meta, for if I would go to a GP or MCQ. Other than that, there are a few flex slots where I put some cards in there because of the local meta, because, pretty much of the local meta.
Okay.
But otherwise, the rest is pretty stock, designed for the competitive events.
Okay, let's talk about the cards you actually chose for the local meta.
This is pretty much the 4th copy of Dragon's Claw. I think three copies are totally fine.
Okay.
But in the local meta, there are many Burn players, also a few Dredge players, so I chose to include 2 Tormod's Crypt as well, as a kind of way to fight against Living End and Dredge decks.
Sure. So in your case, you want to have like 4 Dragon's Claw, and you want also to have something to take the graveyard, under control.
I like to have spells in my sideboard which have a decent to great impact when being played. So that's why I actually don't like including cards like Dismember, or what's it called, a 4 damage spell, sorcery spell. I forgot its name, I'm sorry. But yeah,
You're talking about Flame Slash?
Flame Slash, exactly, yes.
Okay.
So I actually don't like to include those kind of spells because they usually don't do enough. So I like to include cards that have more impact in the long term, or when they hit the battlefield, just force our opponent to do something about it.
Very good. So how about we start talking about some matchups?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic stuff. So we can kick off with an interesting one, and it's a blue-white Stoneblade. Mm-hmm. First of all, is it a good matchup or a bad matchup for you?
I think it's not that good of a matchup. We can win it. But yeah, Stoneforge Mystic kind of makes it hard with Better Skull, and also the amount of removal, Path to Exile, Timely Reinforcement, Celestial Purge. All those cards are quite annoying.
Yeah,
so
they
I would
can
say
have really a lot against Monolith Prowess, right?
And also Snapcaster Mage.
So they can actually get the advantage to use the removals twice. Can be very difficult. Yeah.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. What cards do you expect then to side against you?
A lot of more removal, Celestial Purge, Talon Reinforcement, maybe even Rest in Peace, which can be quite annoying even though you're not playing Phoenixes anymore. So that makes your Battling Revelers worse, because then you need 8 mana to actually cast them. That's kind of annoying. Other than that, no particular things which come to my mind. But yeah, just a lot more removal.
Maybe a second Master Skull if they have one in the sideboard.
Oh yeah, of course.
Maybe, yeah.
Of course. Yeah, exactly.
Because that's a very good card against Monolith Prowess, that's for sure. And strategy-wise, what do you want to do in the games post-sideboard?
So here we are a bit more interactive, because they have creatures like Stoneforge Mystic, Batterskull, and Spellcaller. So we like to bring in some sort of interaction against those cards, and a few other threats.
Yeah, okay. So controlling their creatures and make sure they have answers.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, sideboard plans in detail then. We can just go very deep.
Oh, yeah.
What do you board out first and why? And then what do you board in and why?
So I tend to board out 2 Crash Through, 2 Firebolt, 2 Lava Dart, and 1 Kiln Fiend. So all of those spells are totally fine in their own way, so I would avoid cutting a whole playset of one of those spells. So I just go for, cutting 1 or 2 of all of those spells, which are, I would say, the worst in this kind of matchup, to make some room for better spells.
Yeah, and the better spells are?
3 copies of Abrade to fight all those pesky Better Skulls and Stoneblade Mystics, 2 Seasoned Pyromancer, and 2 Shrine of Burning Rage. So a Braid also comes quite handy because they play Spell Queller now, which also deals with those creatures. And 2 Seasoned Pyromancer and 2 Shrine of Burning Rage just to diversify our threats. And Seasoned Pyromancer, I think, are quite good in here because they give us immediate value and also can get flashbacked, same as the Firebolt. So that's kind of a good synergy with the Battleground Revelers in the long term.
Yeah. Actually, when it's in the graveyard, it has an ability you can get other tokens, right?
Exactly.
So
yes.
That's how it works. Yeah. So you want to have more presence on the board then.
Yes.
Because they want to control it more, but Path of Exile and stuff. So you want to make sure that you have still some pressure on the board as well.
Yeah. So could you even use those tokens to jump block the Better Skull, and then maybe before combat damage, Lava Dart one of your token creatures so they don't get the life gain.
Oh yeah, that's also an interesting, nice trick. Yeah, because the life gain, it's killing your strategy.
Yeah, you can't really kill your Prowess creatures because they get stronger.
Yeah, sure. No. Of course. I had to be the token to die. But it's interesting actually that you can exploit actually the tokens that way and making sure that they don't really gain life.
Yeah.
All right, I think we said it all right for this matchup. So we can go for the next one. And the next one is Burn.
Oh yes, the
So
Burn.
Burn versus Mono Red Prowess. Is it a good matchup or a bad matchup for you? What do you think?
Game 1, it's pretty bad due to them having Eidolon Great Revel. But post-board, I think I really like the post-board games. They tend to go long because due to them having Core Firewalker, gaining them life, and due to us having Dragon's Claw, gaining us life, it can go quite long.
Okay.
But
still not too bad. Actually,
not too bad.
Actually, pretty okay, I would say.
Yeah, post-game, not too bad.
Okay, wonderful. So strategy-wise, is it a race? You want to be the first closing the game?
Oh yeah, of course, it's a race.
That's very clear, I mean. Then we can just go for the cyber plans in details, unless you want to talk about, of course, what cards you could expect actually from them. What could they side against you?
So they like to side in Core Firewalks, of course, obviously, and also maybe a few Smash to Smithereens, because by now they expect us to have Dragon's Claw.
Yes.
And also Path to Exile, which is the best spell against the Prowess creatures, besides Fatal Push, of course. But it also deals with Battleground Revelers.
Yeah.
So they bring those in.
Okay. Then what do you side out and why, and what do you side in and why?
So I side out 3 copies of Lava Dart and 3 copies of Kiln Fiend. So the Kiln Fiends aren't that great here because they have so many ways to interact with our creatures. And also we don't want to dilute our 2-mana slot with too many cards because we are bringing in a lot of Dragon's Claws. So I tend to sideboard out those Kiln Fiends and also 3 Lava Darts because they get worse with Eidolon of the battlefield. Because when you play, when you Lava Dart creature and flashback it, it costs us 4 points of life.
Yeah.
And that's not so good.
No, it's really an expensive price to pay. Yeah.
Exactly. And what I bring in are 4 copies of Dragon's Claw and 2 copies of Kozilek's Return. So Dragon's Claw, pretty self-explaining, gain us life. I use him to kind of stabilize, and then from there on, I try to just flood my board with Prowess creatures and then overrun them in the late game with Crash Throughs. So they help us stabilize and stay alive. And the 2 copies of Kozilek's Return are there to deal with their creatures, especially their Core Firewalkers, because they have protection from red, and Kozilek's Return is a colorless spell, so it just wipes them off. And doesn't kill our own Prowess creatures, which is quite good.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned before that with the Dragon's Claw, you stabilize the game. So that means that it is a race, but you're not taking it as fast as you would take like a normal race.
Exactly, yes.
That's the game. So the game is played actually a little bit slower.
I expect the game to go a bit slower in the post board. And Dragon's Claw just helps stabilizing and then building up our board. And I have to mention it again, Crash Through is just the best spell because we can get through the Core Firewalkers and all the creatures at a certain point, and then just that kind of seals the deal. Because in the long term, we do much more damage than they do with these kind of things. Because when we have 4 Prowess creatures on the battlefield, one spell does 4 more damage.
Sure. The wider is your board
Yeah.
and the more effective. Yeah, absolutely.
So I actually don't mind, even though I think most people do mind. I don't mind if my opponent plays a Cold Firewalker. Of course, it's annoying. It kind of makes the race a bit slower from my side. But them gaining life is not a deciding factor for now, because our plan is to stabilize as well, and then to overrun them with our creatures and crash through.
Excellent. Okay, let's go for another matchup. Jund.
Yes.
Is it a good matchup or a bad matchup for you?
Jund is close. I wouldn't say it's not that favorable. I think it's close to blue-white control or blue-white Stoneblade. They have a lot of removal, a lot of chump blockers, big chump blockers, and planeswalkers. So that's kind of annoying for us. So I would say it's not that good of a matchup, but I think post-board it gets a bit better.
Strategy-wise, what do you want to do in the games post-sideboard?
So I expect this post-board games to go a bit longer, because they want to grind it out pretty much. So we want to cope with that and add some more threats to that game. And also, for example, with the Shrine of Burning Rage, we want to force our opponent to have answers to those kind of creatures, those kind of cards. So that's pretty much the strategy here.
Yeah, okay. Preparing for a longer game.
Exactly, yes.
And having extra resources.
Exactly, yes.
So let's have a look at those resources. But first, of course, let's talk about what you bought out and why.
So I bought out 2 copies of Kiln Fiend and 2 Lava Darts. Kiln Fiend, similar to Burn, they have a lot of removal, but it's a kind of different game than Burn because it usually gets longer. So I'd like to keep at least 1 Kiln Fiend in the main deck. And Lava Dart just don't do much in this type of game. So I just cut 2 copies of Lava Dart.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really many creatures that have only 1 toughness in there anymore. They used to play Dark Confident, but they don't play Dark Confident anymore.
Not anymore.
So, yeah.
Now it's right.
Basically has almost no targets, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. What do you bring in?
2 copies of Seasoned Pyromancer and 2 copies of Shrine of Burning Rage. So Seasoned Pyromancer, just a great threat in the long game. Gives us a bit of time, gives us immediate card advantage when it's a battlefield. And Shrine of Burning Rage, of course, it gets destroyed by Maelstrom Pulse, Abrupt Decay, and Assassin's Trophy, but if they don't have it, it can get out of hand really quick. And there were a few games where I won with Shrine of Burning Rage being on 13. So at some point, I kept 3 mana open all the time because I knew it's going to be win me the game. And they were kind of forced to find an answer to it. Otherwise, they would just lose. So I think I dealt somewhere around like 13 damage with the Shrine. I think it's exception.
It became really explosive. I mean, it doesn't happen like this all the time, but
No.
Yeah, I understand your intent. I mean, having something there. Okay, I'm
But
putting
just
this onto the
diversify.
battlefield.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to deal with it. Yeah,
Yes.
this is what you want to do.
Also, the same thing goes to Blue-White Stoneblade. We just try to diversify our threats against those kind of slower matchups.
Yeah, okay. So this is like sort of, there are similarities here between the two. As you said before at the beginning, actually, when we started discussing this matchup, that you take it slower with both and you have to find, sneak in your let's say, extra resources and take the path to victory from there.
Absolutely.
Okay, excellent. Let's go for another matchup. And we have a sort of, well, not really, I was going to say new deck, but it's not that new anymore because it's been around already for some time. We are talking about Whirza. And first thing, of course, is it a favored or unfavored match for you? Is it a good matchup or a bad matchup?
I think it became a bit better now with Crash Through and Kiln Fiend.
Okay.
Because we are a bit faster now and we can just trample over their tokens, Foppler tokens. But I think it's a coin flip matchup.
Okay.
Because they can combo as fast as we can. They can be as fast as we are. So it's kind of a race here, pretty much.
Okay. So you want to close the game very fast before they actually get the opportunity to combo off.
Yes.
Okay. So we are talking a little bit about strategy here as well. And any other thing that you would like to underline about the strategy that you go for in the game's boss sideboard?
Not really. Just try to maybe shut down a few of their key pieces with our sideboard cards. And other than that, just be as fast as possible.
Okay, so that's like priority number one, closing
Yes.
the game very, very fast. Any cards you should watch out for in the game's boss sideboard?
Any cards? Maybe Collective Brutality. Other than that, let me think.
Probably Fatal Push as well, because they're Grizzlies, right?
Yes, Fatal
Most of the
Push,
time they
course.
have black for sideboard cards. So Fatal Push could be the other card that you have to watch out for. I mean,
A few more removals, definitely,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. So more removals, this is what you have to take into account when you
Exactly,
play
yes.
against them. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And Brutality can be annoying because of the drain ability and killing the
Yeah.
creature, making you discard a card even if they can activate all the modes.
Most of our spells
Depends,
are
yeah.
instant sorcery, so Collective Brutality will find a target in our
Yeah,
hand.
so that's something you have to respect.
Yes.
Okay, absolutely. Right, let's go in details with the cyber plans, what you side out and what you side in.
So I set out 3 copies of Light Up the Stage because I think I tend to cut Light Up the Stages against decks which are very linear, fast, combo decks, or very aggressive decks where we don't get any, or most of the times don't get any opportunity to cast Light Up the Stage or dig for some more burn spells or answers. So I tend to cut those in those kind of matchups and just focus on being as fast as possible.
Yeah, you want to keep the pressure.
Yes,
You wanna-
exactly.
yeah, okay. Wouldn't actually the possibility of drawing more cards, let's say, allow you to put some more pressure? Or it's not worth, actually, it's better to, let's say, sacrifice your draw engine and have only spells that deal damage or...
Yes,
Okay.
I would say so, yes.
Okay, so drawing the cards could be helpful, but not always. But having the permanents or the spells, it's more important.
Especially when they get more interactive in the beginning of the game, in the first few turns, and they kill all creatures or make
Okay.
a bunch of top tokens that we can't get through, and we don't want to spend maybe the cards which are there to kill certain things towards them to activate Light Up a Stage, and that in total makes the game kind of slower for us. Spending resources to go for the face and then cast the Light Up the Stage, and then you need to set up for the next turn, and that kind of slows down.
Okay, so you want,
Slow us down.
you want actually to use your spells on their stuff.
Exactly,
So you
yes.
don't have actually, you want to use them to deal 1 damage to the opponent, and then be able to cast the Light Up the Stage for only 1 cost because of Spectacle. So
Exactly,
that's
yes.
the dynamic that it's not working anymore. So
Yeah.
this is why. Okay, perfectly understood. So what comes in?
What comes in are 3 copies of Aberrate. So pretty self-explaining. It's a flexible spell. It can help us kill creatures like Whirza and Sai, Thopter Foundress, I'm not sure how he's called, and also kill cards like discard cards like Mox Opal, Thopter Foundry, Sword of the Meek if they play it, and some other key cards.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Sai, I don't remember actually the full name of the card, but but we can display it right now on screen for reference so that everybody knows what we're talking about. It's going to appear somewhere there when I take care of it on post-production. Anyway, anything else you would like to say about this matchup, or shall we go for the next one?
We shall go for the next one. I think that's
Okay,
all
fantastic.
set.
Yeah,
for
let's
this
talk
one.
about humans then.
Oh, yes.
Because it's still around, it's still a solid deck in Modern, so it's worth mentioning. And is it a good matchup or a better matchup for you?
I like it because we have so many ways to interact with their early drops, which is kind of the game, the main game from their side, because they want to build up the board with Noble Hierarchs and Lieutenants and Champions and Thalias. So I think we are slightly favorable in this matchup.
Okay, good to know. Strategy-wise, what do you want to do in the game's boss sideboard?
Just deal with their creatures and kind of push our way through, and also raise them.
So I
There's
guess you
also
want to
kind
have
of a
more
raise.
removals, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
exactly.
even other stuff that clears. everything, or almost everything.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's have a look at these cards. What you side out and what you side in.
So I side out 4 copies of Light Up the Stage and 1 copy of Kiln Fiend. So the same thing applies to this matchup. Light Up the Stages are just too slow. I found myself in a few games where they kind of were stuck in my hand because I couldn't get through the creatures because the creatures were bigger, and they had a Mantis Rider which has vigilance, and I wanted to direct the damage spells to the creatures rather than the player itself. So those go out. Those are kind of too slow in this matchup. We wanna replace those with more interaction. And 1 copy of Kiln Fiends goes as well. Bites Dust as well because they have Reflect the Mage. It dies very easily because it just has 2 toughness. But I mean, we still have 2 copies, so I guess it's just like 1 more card to side out. Which one? It's a Kiln Fiend.
Okay.
Rather than any other interactive spells.
This is the slot that you would like to cut, yeah.
Exactly, yes.
Like to cut. Okay, excellent. So what comes in?
3 copies of Abrade and 2 copies of Kozak's Return. So Abrades can deal with Aethervial sometimes, which is kind of nice, and also with pretty much almost all of the creatures, if they're small enough for the free damage. And 2 copies of Kozak's Return because they deal with the creatures and also especially with Auric Champion, which can get quite annoying because they have protection from red and black. Red is more relevant than black, but they block all our creatures. They are pretty much... they pretty much have the protection against all our removal spells except Kozak's Return.
Okay, excellent. Very good, very good. So that was the last matchup for this episode. So we have to wrap things up. Thank you very much, Alex, for joining me here. It was fantastic to have you here again.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure, absolutely my pleasure. And a big thank you to all of you for watching this video. We hope you enjoyed. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and if you want to follow us on social media, you'll find all the information you need in the description of this video. What you can also do is sharing this video on Facebook, Twitter, the platform of your choice, because that will be really appreciated first and also help us keep on doing what we do. All right, everybody, have a great time casting your favorite spells. And for now, it's goodbye.